Part 53. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the Beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 521. The illusory space unfolded before my eyes like a maze. A study room with dim lights. I still don't know whether it was Bai Xingguan or Bai Xingran as a child, sitting quietly at the desk with a book in her hand. Bai Zi walked forward and circled around the girl. Sure enough, he was in a spiritual state and she wouldn't notice that he was approaching her. In this way, Bai Zi was relieved. Looking carefully at the book in her hand, it was a biological encyclopedia. Bai Zi had learned this thing a long time ago. But the effect was not very good, and he couldn't learn it at the introductory stage. Huh? Wait. Boom. Before Bai Zi finished reading, the space suddenly turbulent. When he reacted, he was pulled out again. Familiar territory, familiar pictures. The speed was so fast, exactly the same as before. I don't know why. But probably, he could get some information from the previous picture. You know, Bai Zi has lived in this world for 18 years, and he was a top student before. That encyclopedia was a super-level book for him at that time. As a top student, Bai Zi had learned a little, but he still hadn't understood it. It seems that the Federation really pays attention to Bai Xingguan's training. Bai Zi nodded. Then, he walked into the next picture. The dim world, the same study room as always. The difference is that this time there is an imperial capital principal. He held his head high and told Bai Xingguan something seriously. Bai Zi listened a little. It felt very grand. What kind of honor, what kind of power, and what kind of status? But to sum up, it was pure empty talk and pua. At this time, Bai Zi recalled the bosses in the company in his previous life. It seemed to be saying something in his ear. Young man, if you do this project well, you will have a good chance of becoming a supervisor in the future. In the end, he kept waiting and waiting, but he didn't see a supervisor seat in the end. I don't know how the scene became an important memory of the goddess. Maybe she wanted to complain about this bad principal like herself? Bai Zi shook his head and went back when he opened his eyes. This time he seemed very calm and walked to the next image. A new round of loading, the style of the painting changed dramatically. It was no longer a gloomy study, but an open-air viewing platform. The one who was admiring was none other than the goddess. Beside Bai Zi stood many high-ranking officials of the Federation. There were also many familiar faces. The principal of the imperial capital, together with other principals, and the team of star commanders led by Wang Huingshui. Even the heads of the top families in the Federation, as rumored, came. Bai Zi even saw the Ice God, Fire God, Thunder God, and other upper-level God-level strongmen who had never appeared. This lineup was comparable to the current national competition. And they, like Bai Zi, stood outside the glass cover. In the center of the glass cover, there was a cylindrical glass-colored stone. Bai Zi looked down and saw Bai Xingguan's hand on the stone. Her eyes were closed tightly, and the aura around her was restrained, lingering around her. Everyone, just wait and see. I won't let you down. My Federation goddess will definitely take up the banner in the future. Her level is beyond doubt. She will definitely surprise all of you. The principal of the imperial capital wore a Zhongshan suit, stroked his beard, and smiled. I saw that the glass-colored stone burst out with dazzling light. A vast universe appeared in the stone and in the eyes of the senior officials of the Federation. Oh my God! Awesome! The universe is actually a universe. I have never seen it before. Muhan and Yan Yan, the two little guys, have never seen such a scene. She is worthy of being a goddess. It seems that our Federation really has successors. Principal of the imperial capital, please train the goddess. A group of people came up and were in a particularly good mood. Bai Zi looked at the whole scene. Not surprisingly, this should be the talent test that Wang Ho had mentioned to him. Unexpectedly, the goddess awakened the universe and caused a huge sensation at the scene. Soon, the scene disappeared. Bai Zi was a little confused. What was this trying to say? Then he had to continue. The new territory was a little different from the previous one. The closed silver-white room was surrounded by glass. Bai Zi stayed outside the glass, with a battle table in the middle and a little boy in front. Yes, it was Bai Xingguan. Bai Zi stood with the principal of the imperial capital and a group of federal high-level officials. In terms of personality, he could still feel it after a little observation. A calm and majestic posture, it must be Bai Xingguan. At this moment, both of them closed their eyes. It was just that the boy opposite him had a frown on his face, and there were beads of sweat on his face, which looked very tormented. Judging from his clothes, the boy was probably also a child of aristocratic family. Anyway, he would not be poor. Suddenly, the boy screamed and fell to the ground. He woke up, as if looking at a monster. His eyes were locked on Bai Xingguan opposite him. 1. So fast. Xiaohao has been doing simulated battles for more than a year, and his strength ranks among the top few among his peers. Xingguan was able to finish the battle so quickly in her first encounter. Genius, she is a genius. Everyone was amazed and applauded. After waking up, Bai Xingguan looked at them in confusion. After a few seconds, the principal of the imperial capital walked in from outside. Okay Xingguan, you did a good job. Just like that, keep it up. He touched Bai Xingguan's head and smiled particularly brightly. For some reason, Bai Xingguan also smiled peacefully. The world turned pale again and finally collapsed. Bai Zi was a little confused. To sum it up, the goddess is worthy of being a goddess. She walked on a completely invincible road. Genius, evildoer, monster, all kinds of praise titles, all added to her. Let her carry countless halos and walk in the vast sea of people, as perfect as a natural protagonist. But there is one thing that Bai Zi understood a long time ago. If you want to wear the crown, you must bear its weight. High hats also have weight, let alone so many halos. It is easy for people to reach the top, but it is very difficult to reach a higher peak from a peak. Because of praise, people are afraid of failure. Afraid of others' admiring eyes, the tone of pursuit disappears, turns into disbelief, and even turns into humiliation. This invisible pressure can create a person, and it may also destroy a god. Thinking about this, Bai Zi continued to look down. The new picture, the surface became a room, and returned to the study. The difference is that Bai Xingguan stood in the same place this time, doing nothing, and seemed to be talking about something. Without thinking too much, Bai Zi reached out and touched the picture. In an instant, the familiar study appeared, and a voice sounded in Bai Zi's ears. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the Beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 522. From now on, I will be your sister. The conversation ended here. Bai Zi watched the whole scene and came back. As expected, Bai Xingguan was not talking to herself just now, but talking to Bai Xingran. Thinking carefully, the memories recorded here are all very impressive. The first memory, Bai Xingguan officially became a goddess. The second memory, Bai Xingguan was still very young at that time, and it should be the first time to come into contact with those books. The third memory, I don't know if it was because of Pua, or she really believed those words. The fourth memory, talent test. The fifth memory, the first simulated battle. To be honest, I have lived for 18 years. Bai Zi has heard a little about the simulated battle that only rich people can afford. Then this sixth time should be the official meeting of the two sisters. It was also at this time that the titles of elder sister and younger sister were used. Bai Zi continued to walk into the new picture. One by one, slightly blurred and distant scenes floated before his eyes. There were shouts from all kinds of people, praise from the top brass of the Federation, the top brass of the Academy, and many others. There were also bits and pieces of the two sisters together, which were basically all trivial matters of life. It seemed beautiful, but it seemed a little boring. At least in Bai Zi's eyes, it was really boring. I don't know why it became a key memory. At this time, Bai Zi didn't know how long it took to walk out of a new picture. I don't know what the current situation of the outside world is. However, although these memories are messy in detail, Bai Zi can roughly divide them into two categories. One is inside and the other is outside. The goddess outside is a brilliant new god who is unfathomable and unmatched. She just stood there, making countless Tianjiao bow their heads and lose their color. And inside, the goddess is divided into two, and they are good sisters. No one would have thought that the goddess who is cold and elegant and never shows any emotion can also laugh and play. Bai Zi thought about it and stepped into a new round of pictures. But this time, it was different from the past, and the difference was very big. Bai Xingran slumped on the bed, her face pale. She murmured something weakly. From Bai Zi's perspective, he could see that there was divine power swirling around the other person. But this divine power seemed to be swallowed by something and gradually disappeared. Don't worry, Ran, sister won't let you get hurt. Bai Zi frowned, with a strange expression. In fact, he just found that he seemed to be able to hear the conversation between the two people. After a while, Bai Xingran's divine power calmed down, and his little face regained its color. Bai Zi was also teleported out. But the expression on his face seemed a little uneasy. Is it swallowing? Bai Zi guessed that this should be the time when the first swallowing came. I don't know how Bai Xingguan relieved the swallowing. But from the tone, she should be very tired. Bai Zi continued to explore, and the following memories were almost the same as before. Until the age of 16, a major event occurred again. In the silver-white secret laboratory, Bai Xingguan stayed in the transparent cabin. Bai Xingran shouted desperately. At this moment, she has become very sensible, completely different from before. But it was useless. Bai Zi stood outside the transparent cabin, unable to do anything, watching the exchange of the divine nature. This scene should be the scene that Bai Xingguan said before, giving Bai Xingran the hope of survival. Just after watching the previous scenes, Bai Zi understood a lot. Bai Xingguan is not as unbearable as she said. On the contrary, she is stronger than Bai Xingran. Whether it is learning ability, combat ability, on-the-spot reaction ability, or adaptability. Everything, she is much stronger than Bai Xingran. The people hope for her, and the principal of the imperial capital and many other senior officials also hope for her. But she transferred the precious chance of survival to Bai Xingran. From a rational point of view, from the perspective of the Federation, this is definitely not a good result. At this time, the two sisters should not know that the companion god can save their lives. In other words, Bai Xingguan is indeed determined to die and is ready to go to hell. The scene ends, and the transformation of the godhead is successful. It is expected. Bai Zi turned and walked forward, looking at new scenes of memory. There have been earth-shaking changes in this. Every time the devouring occurs, Bai Xingguan's power will be forced to be squeezed. Gradually, her power is getting weaker and weaker, and she has become a useless waste in her own mouth. On the contrary, Bai Xingran took up the responsibility and became stronger and stronger. Became the well-deserved goddess in people's mouths. Until one day, the goddess was officially born and her identity was made public. The imperial capital and even the whole country were shocked. In the secret of the Federation, such a monster was cultivated. At first, there was a little disbelief, but when Bai Xingguan and Bai Xingran cooperated. After defeating countless geniuses, no one dared to doubt it anymore. Bai Zi even saw the figures of Mu Han, Yan Yan, Long Aotian, and Wang Teng appear in Bai Xingguan's memory. I think this is very close to the current memory. Looking further ahead, the voice of the world is getting louder and louder. People hold the goddess high and praise her in the name of the true God. Regard her as hope, as a supreme treasure. The Federation, leading all the creators and gods, has been silent in the universe for too long. There are wolves in front and tigers behind, surrounded by evil, and threats everywhere. Over the years, in order to ensure the stability of the Federation, I don't know how many creators and gods have died in battle. Finally, on this day, the goddess was born. A person who claims to be able to lead the Federation to a new height. A person who claims to be able to lead the Federation to break the dilemma. Such a scene was repeated in Bai Xingguan's memory, and Bai Zi was shocked. Looking down, he thought it should be almost over. The last remaining, slightly interesting memory is about the national competition. Bai Xingguan and Bai Xingran learned about their companion gods for the first time. It was also the first time they learned that it could curb the devouring disease and completely save them. On that day, Bai Xingran was very excited, dancing with joy, and he was no longer the person he used to be in front of others. On the other hand, Bai Xingguan was very calm. Even though she was in trouble, she did not show the slightest excitement. She just comforted Bai Xingran and said, "Come on." Ding! The sound of the bell rang in Bai Zi's ears. He opened his eyes and he was back. Looking to the right, he had reached the end, and the pictures were all over. After peeping into other people's lives, Bai Zi felt a little mixed. But unfortunately, he still didn't know how to get out. Just as Bai Zi was silent, suddenly, the space around him seemed to collapse. He raised his head and looked around suddenly. The barrier disappeared, and a black background board appeared instead. From the end of the darkness, a figure was walking slowly. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 523. It is the God of the Federation. He wears a mask, and his star robe hangs down. In the deep darkness, he has a different charm. When he walked towards Bai Zi's whole body stiffened for a moment. This space, was it designed by you? Why did you pull me in during the game? But at this moment, Bai Zi was very calm. Because he could probably guess. He could use the power of space to condense this space, and then quietly transfer himself from the game. In the entire Federation, there is only one God of the Federation. I saw that the other party walked forward. Seeing that Bai Zi guessed it, he did not seem very surprised. He just stretched out his hand lightly and pointed to the rows of memories. You should have seen all of these just now, right? Bai Zi followed the direction of his finger and scanned the row of memories. Then, he nodded gently, I have seen it. Did you pull me here just to let me see these things? The God of the Federation said calmly, I have seen it, what do you think? Hearing this, Bai Zi was slightly stunned. Nothing. The goddess has been the focus of everyone's attention since she was born. She is held high by everyone and regarded as a star of hope. Are you trying to tell me that I can't win this game? The God of the Federation shook his head, seemingly dissatisfied with Bai Zi's answer. A god who is held high needs to bear great pressure. She is different from you. She has been carrying a mission since she was a child. This kind of pressure can help a person grow quickly, but it can also destroy a god. Bai Zi was slightly shocked by the God of the Federation's answer, which was exactly the same as his own. When Bai Zi was puzzled, the god of Federation continued to speak, so, from the birth of the goddess, I made a plan. The original plan. Take away their companion gods and store them. Today, 18 years later, on this stage, as the ultimate goal of their transition stage. Use family affection to resist pressure and complete the transformation. The ending of this plan, both of them could have survived, but the final effect was not good. I still can't see the goddess I expect in my heart. But it's understandable, otherwise the goddess may die young. The god of Federation took a step, circling Bai-Ze while telling him his plan. When Bai-Ze heard it, his heart was stirred. He clearly heard that this was the original plan mentioned by the god of Federation. It was also the storyline he had figured out before. So, what about now? Bai-Ze asked. Here, the god of Federation kept it a secret. He suddenly appeared beside Bai-Ze and patted his shoulder with his hand. The current plan is hidden in the memory you just read. Think about it carefully, you should be able to find something useful. Bai-Ze's expression froze, and he remembered what the god of the Federation had just said. Pressure can destroy a god, and in the original plan, he wanted to use family affection, that is, Bai-Ze ran, to curb this disaster. Can Bai-Ze understand that? If there is no Bai-Ze ran, then there is a high probability that Bai-Ze will not be able to resist the pressure and commit suicide. It is precisely because of Bai-Ze ran that she cherishes the sister. Just like some people want to commit suicide, but they are hesitant because they still have family members. Then take away the companion gods of the two, resulting in the appearance of swallowing. It should be clear that in the swallowing stage mentioned by the god of the Federation, it is still Bai-Ze swallowing Bai-Ze ran. In order for her sister to survive, Bai-Ze will go all out to make herself stronger. Then in the national competition stage, the goddess won the championship in an invincible manner and won the companion gods. This way, it can end with a happy ending. Completing this phase task is the complete form of the goddess in the mouth of the god of the Federation. This clear line of thought makes Bai-Ze feel creepy just thinking about it. It's as if he is controlled by a big hand. No matter how you go, you can't escape from his palm. However, Bai-Ze remembered a picture in his memory. If your plan is like this, then, what's the matter with Bai-Ze and Bai-Ze ran exchanging godhood? That's right. This is where the problem lies. Once the godhood is exchanged, the devouring relationship is reversed. In other words, the previous plan will be completely disrupted. Bai-Ze cherishes the sister and learns that she can live. Then, Bai-Ze doesn't need to be so persistent in becoming stronger. But Bai-Ze paused. His heart skipped a beat. Because he felt that this was very familiar. Isn't Bai-Ze now the loser she said she was? And the real strong one is Bai-Ze ran. According to the development of the new storyline, it just happens to match the real process. The exchange of godhood was completed. This time, it was Bai-Ze ran who wanted to save her sister Bai-Ze, so she had to become stronger. That's why Bai-Ze could see that it was the goddess Bai-Ze ran who was cold and ruthless, not Bai-Ze. But the final outcome was a little hard for Bai-Ze to understand. If it goes like this, then in the end, Bai-Ze ran won the championship, and both of them could still live. However, Bai-Ze is stronger than Bai-Ze ran. Isn't this method better than the first plan? Bai-Ze was a little puzzled. This time, the god of the Federation nodded. It seemed that Bai-Ze's guess satisfied him a lot. Well, now let's take a look at the outside world. See if I can solve the rare doubts in your mind. Having said that, the god of the Federation waved his hand. In an instant, a picture unfolded before Bai-Ze's eyes. What is shown inside is not a battlefield, nor anywhere else, but the battle space between Bai-Ze and Bai-Ze ran. At this moment, Bai-Ze ran hugged Bai-Ze tightly. Streams of divine power emerged from her body and were transported into Bai Xingguan's body. Vaguely, Bai Zi could also see something that resembled a godhead, and the two were transforming into each other. This. Bai Zi was speechless for a moment. Because he could tell that Bai Xingguan's aura was very low and she was no longer alive. It was obvious that life had come to an end. How is it possible? How could she? The god of the Federation curled his lips and said with interest, "When Bai Xingguan fought with you just now, he already used up all his divine power. As a devoured party, once the divine power is exhausted, the soul will be shattered and the body will die." Bai Zi's expression was stunned and his brows were furrowed. He listened to the myth of the Federation and had no idea what Bai Xingguan was thinking. Knowing that when the divine power is exhausted, the soul will be shattered and the body will die, then why are you still fighting yourself? At that time, the second godhead appeared, which really scared Bai Zi. Unexpectedly, it was Bai Xingguan who was in charge of life. Not understand? Then think about what I said before. Bai Zi lowered his head and thought for a moment. Suddenly an idea struck me. Looking at the god of the Federation with an incredulous look. She doesn't want to live anymore. Window. Tabula equals window. Tabula. Tabula.push, mode, thumbspeed -01, container, tabula below article thumbnail -300x250, placement, below article thumbnail -300x250, target. Type, mix. Creation of the world, binding God simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 524. Yes, this is the only answer Bai Zi can come up with. Otherwise, why did Bai Xingguan at this time period, knowing that she would have a companion divine object to save her life if she won the championship? Why did she have to go all out and fight Bai Zi with her life? Even if she had to fight, she had to control herself. Why did she have to risk her life? Yes, the god of the Federation answered affirmatively. You should be able to tell something from the memories of the goddess life, right? Bai Zi paused for a moment, and suddenly said, it can be roughly divided into two parts, right? The god of the Federation nodded again and raised his head. Her life has only two parts, mission and sister. She doesn't want to live up to this mission, and doesn't want to live up to everyone's expectations, so she can only persevere. It is because of this sister that her perseverance can become spontaneous and strong, thus surpassing the past. Unfortunately, she is too tired. According to my second script, she will choose. Bai Zi suddenly took over the conversation with a deep face. Choose to die, right? The companion divine object, the power of origin, can not only curb the devouring, but also enhance the power of the goddess. The god of the Federation did not reply, but just smiled, and the corners of his mouth under the mask slowly outlined. Two people sharing the power will definitely be less effective than one person. He calculated at the beginning that Bai Xingguan was shouldering the mission and the burden of her sister at the same time. She was very tired, but she couldn't get rid of these burdens. But with Bai Xingran, it was completely different. Bai Xingguan died herself and let Bai Xingran win the championship. Live and absorb the power of origin to achieve a perfect posture. People only want the goddess. As for whether it is Bai Xingguan or Bai Xingran, does it really matter? This is the double win method in Bai Xingguan's heart. And all of this is calculated by the god of the Federation, which is really terrifying. So, you said so much. What do these things have to do with me? Bai Zi's eyes were dim. At this moment, the god of the Federation suddenly laughed out loud. The laughter was ethereal and sharp, as if it could pierce Bai Zi's soul. No, 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 it matters. It matters a lot. He pointed at Bai Zi, his eyes solemn, because of your appearance, my second plan has also been abolished. Because you let me find a brand new and most perfect plan. The voice of the god of the Federation rose, and he seemed a little excited. Bai Zi didn't understand what this most perfect plan meant. Bai Zi. You have to understand the underlying logic first. Bai Xingran's existence is just a tool to promote Bai Xingguan's strength. Bai Xingguan is stronger than Bai Xingran, and only one of them can survive, and she will definitely be able to exert more power. So, Bai Xingran's death and Bai Xingguan's survival must be the best ending. So, what do you need to lay the groundwork for this ending? The god of the Federation stared at Bai Zi playfully, and his long gaze seemed to see through everything about him. Bai Zi thought, and thousands of waves splashed in his heart. If there was no Bai Xingran at the beginning, Bai Xingguan would not have become so strong. If you have Bai Xingran, and the one who is devoured is her, then both of them will survive in the end. If you have Bai Xingran, and the one being devoured is Bai Xingguan, only Bai Xingran can survive in the end. To sum up, Bai Xingguan is holding on because of the Federation's hope. Because of Bai Xingran, her strength will exceed her own limit. But Bai Xingran is a double-edged sword. She can make Bai Xingguan stronger, and she can also let her die with peace of mind. Because someone will take the responsibility for her. Therefore, there is only one way to keep Bai Xingguan alive and let Bai Xingran die. That is to use Bai Xingran as a tool to motivate the goddess Bai Xingguan to become stronger. Then, when the tool's usage time is over, kill Bai Xingran on the stage that everyone is watching. Bai Xingguan, who lost Bai Xingran, will definitely choose to survive for the entire Federation. That is the most perfect ending in the mouth of the god of the Federation. Ha ha, ha ha ha. I think you should have figured it out, contestant Bai Zi. Family affection is really troublesome. It should have been simpler. As he spoke, the god of the Federation turned his head to the unfolded screen. But, guess what I did just now? The god of the Federation did not give him a chance to reply, and continued, I used my divine power to surpass everyone in the field. This is no longer a simulated battle. I have extracted your spirits. The goddess is the same as you, but you can't find it. Bai Zi's pupils shrank, and he pretended to be calm. I'll tell you another little secret. The reason why Bai Xingguan changed her godhood was actually because I told her. Of course, I didn't say it directly. And now, Bai Xingran is helping Bai Xingguan change her godhood, and I also told her the method. I am sure that Bai Xingguan will definitely give up hope at this time, and she can use it. Then guess again, what will happen if the process of changing the godhood is interrupted? As soon as these words came out, Bai Zi's heartbeat accelerated, and his face turned pale. Once it is interrupted by external attacks. Then, the person who casts the spell will die instantly, and his power will be devoured by another person. And now they are in the state of spirits, and the injury or death of creatures will be fed back to the Creator. I remember just now, you should have launched an attack, right? The god of the Federation's burning eyes were fixed on Bai Zi. All of a sudden, he remembered. Just before entering this space, he did let the creatures encircle the Yellow Lord. When the opponent was in great danger, the Death Scythe Jeton attacked with all his strength. That attack, even if it was not completely fatal, could still cripple the Yellow Lord. If the power of this attack could affect Bai Xingran in the battle space, that would mean. Haha, the god of the Federation laughed happily. Bai Zi, I said I have to thank you. It is because of your existence that I can complete this most perfect plan. Also let you appreciate the most supreme goddess of the Federation at the end of your life. While the god of the Federation was speaking, the space collapsed. Bai Zi turned around quickly, and the black curtains were shattering, and even the memory pictures were disappearing. But he couldn't do anything now. Because of the conversation just now, Bai Zi understood everything. This is a game. A foreshadowing. A game that lasted for 18 years. and he is the most important chess piece in this game. It is also the shining stepping stone in the mouths of countless people. Bai Zi knows very well what will happen once the attack of the Death Scythe Jeten touches the Lord of Yellow. Bai Xingran's divine nature exchange was interrupted, and he died on the spot. All her power was swallowed by Bai Xingguan. With anger, the complete goddess will be born into the world. This is the spiritual state. Her first goal is to kill herself. It was exactly the same as the prophecy. Bai Xingguan killed herself with her own hands. Creation of the world, binding God simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 525. Crazy. The god of the Federation was using the two of them as tools. But the tool was pointing at himself in the end. He had to stop it all. Regardless of the greater good, at least he had to think about his own safety. Bai Zi didn't know how strong Bai Xingguan, who had really devoured everything, would be. Dream. Woke up. The endless noise outside the field poured into Bai Zi's ears. He looked around, and his heart was shocked. Finally, his sight was locked on the Death Scythe Jeten. Death Scythe Jeten. Stop! He shouted loudly, trying to stop the attack of Death Scythe Jeten. The latter turned back suddenly, although he heard Bai Zi's call. However, the distance was too close. It exerted its full strength to attack, even comparable to supersonic speed. At this distance, how could there be a chance to stop? Finally, the attack was played. The sharp double sickles of Death Scythe Jeten passed by and bloomed under the night. Two clusters of starlight spread out, as if a brilliant flower had bloomed on the chest of the Yellow Lord. The next second, the explosions that followed were extremely violent. The already severely disabled Yellow Lord suffered a full-strength attack from the Death Scythe Jeten, and could no longer hold on. A black beam of light surrounded the Yellow Lord, gradually submerging and spreading in all directions. Tentacles, deformed flesh, and eyeballs flew out of the chaotic vortex of the beam of light. The Yellow Lord was killed on the spot. Looking at the scene in front of them, the outsiders cheered. What a strong attack, worthy of Bai Zi. The Yellow Lord is dead, and the goddess has directly lost a general. Too awesome. The next one is the severely disabled Sleeping Lord. It seems that Bai Zi is about to win. The voices that came and went in his ears were very pleasant, but they made Bai Zi dazed. Because only he knew in his heart what would happen to the other side after this attack. It's too late. Bai Zi murmured. On the other side, in the battle space between the two, the death of the Yellow Lord just now brought huge fluctuations. It immediately affected the two. Just when Bai Xingran was concentrating on exchanging godhood with Bai Xingguan, suddenly, both of them felt that their strength was greatly reduced, and their souls seemed to have suffered a severe blow, and a hole was torn open. Bai Xingran's breath was unstable, and his divine power rushed out randomly and flowed wantonly. The two godhoods that were being exchanged also began to sway left and right, and they felt that they would explode at any time. What's going on? As soon as Bai Xingran finished speaking, he felt a sharp pain in his chest and immediately knelt on the ground. Bai Xingguan was the first to react. It's the soul. Their souls were severely damaged. Ran, let go quickly, it's too late. Unexpectedly, Bai Xingran couldn't hold on before Bai Xingguan finished speaking. Her godhood that was being exchanged was broken with a bang. The surging power inside it swept out like a wave. With the explosion of the godhead, the strong divine power filled the battle space. The storm blew over, one after another. Bai Xingran's body softened, and he fell down with a sound of How could this happen? How could it be? Because Bai Xingran forcibly transformed the godhead, Bai Xingguan, who was already emotional. At this moment, seeing the scene in front of her, her beautiful eyes couldn't help but widen, and she looked a little hideous and terrifying. The soul was attacked, the Godhead transformation ceremony was forcibly interrupted, and the Godhead was broken. She murmured something in her mouth, and her hand suddenly hugged Bai Xingran. Ran, wake up, Ran. The vague and crisp voice echoed in Bai Xingran's ears. Her vision was unclear, and her tinnitus was severe, as if she was slowly separating from this world. Sister, she whispered softly. The current state is worse than Bai Xingguan just now. The broken Godhead and the Godhead that is about to be swallowed up are completely different forms. In fact, among the creators, awakening the Godhood in advance is not a bad thing. Because if you want to kill an ordinary creator, you either have to annihilate his creatures or destroy his planet. And a creator with Godhood is not so troublesome. Just find ways to destroy the other party's Godhood directly. In this way, the divine power in his Godhood will be lost, which also means the death of the creator. And Bai Xingguan, because Bai Xingran's Godhood was broken, absorbed a lot of her leaked divine power. At this moment, she was revived. Ran, hold on, you will be fine. Sister will transfer the divine power to you now. Bai Xingguan's voice was intermittent, even with a hint of sobbing. She held Bai Xingran's hand tightly, and a stream of overwhelming divine power was transferred to Bai Xingran without reservation. Unfortunately, it was completely useless. Bai Xingran's Godhood was broken. Just like a glass bottle with a crack, no matter how much water is put into it, it will spill out. Sister. Bai Xingran grabbed Bai Xingguan's hand and murmured, don't bother. The Godhead is broken, and any more divine power is in vain. It's sister. After my Godhead collapsed, the devouring of the two Godheads was also lifted. If I knew this method would work, I wouldn't do such a troublesome thing. Listening to Bai Xingran's words, Bai Xingguan's eyes were already wet. Pain. Sadness. Anger. All kinds of inexplicable emotions filled her eyes. This girl who used to be well-behaved and sensible, at this moment, the divine power around her body exploded, and a touch of blood emerged. The next second seemed to be transformed into a Hellshura, slaughtering the world. Boom. In the main battlefield, a bloody energy suddenly rushed straight into the sky from the sleeping master. The surging power dyed the sky bloody. Bai Zi narrowed his eyes slightly, his face was extremely ugly. The audience outside the field also exclaimed and shouted. But only Bai Zi knew that he was still a step late in the end. The attack just now must have injured Bai Xingran. I just don't know to what extent. I hope it won't really be irreversible. While Bai Zi was thinking, he didn't know that Bai Xingran was about to disappear. The accumulated emotions over the years turned into a raging anger when her sister was about to leave. Bai Xingguan's aura changed drastically, like Satan climbing up from hell. She hugged Bai Xingran's rapidly dissipating body and looked at the broken Godhead. Ran. Trust your sister again, okay? You will be fine, you will be fine. The power of origin can definitely save you, it is a companion god, it can definitely do it. Sister will be back soon and end this game soon. A crystal teardrop fell from Bai Xingguan's eyes. Immediately, she put Bai Xingran down. Her palm condensed, and a divine power rushed out and wrapped around her body. The Godhead was broken, and the gods could not save it. But this time, Bai Xingguan wanted to snatch a person from the gods. Warm reminder, if you find that clicking the next page will force you to jump to other websites, please use the chapter error or contact us at the bottom to inform us, we will handle it as soon as possible. Thank you for your understanding. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 526. The rainstorm continued, the clouds were thick, and there was lightning and thunder. The distance between heaven and earth is getting smaller and smaller, and there is not much space left. Black slime spreads, filling the sky and filling the ocean. The soaring red light pillar tore a vortex in the dark clouds and penetrated the wall of the world, just like the arrival of a demon. The sleeping lord actually got up. Could it be that Bai Xingguan has recovered? What a terrifying power! Was she just preparing some horrific ritual? Staring at the red beam of light shooting out from the sleeping lord, the audience was filled with amazement. At the same time, the red clouds fell from the sky, and the familiar creatures that had been suppressed also stood up one after another. At this moment, despair enveloped the earth. The sentient creature had all the hair on its body standing on end and was frightened. Because they sense it? I feel a powerful divine power that is completely different from before. And with a touch of anger, the anger that can burn this world. What a terrifying power! Was it released by the goddess? What happened? Can such a majestic divine power really be unleashed by a girl who is only 18 years old? The principal Xing's Huai at the referee's table also stood up one after another. As Bai Xingguan's supervisor, the principal of Imperial Capital has never seen Bai Xingguan use this power. It's a bit too scary. However, the sedentary god of the Federation. His sight followed the position where the red light was emitted, all the way to the sky until it was obscured by clouds. This moment has finally arrived. He has been waiting for this moment for 18 years, or even longer. All plans have been successful. Absorbing all the power of Bai Xingran with hatred and despair. The real goddess is about to be born. And along the way, now only Bai Zi is the last stepping stone. Step over him and grab the accompanying fetish. Bai Xingran couldn't be saved, it was too late. When Bai Xingguan absorbs the accompanying divine object, all the power will belong to herself. This is the most perfect ending in the Federation God's plan. My lord, those creatures have gone crazy. They seem to be unable to feel pain and jump towards us. Bai Zi immediately received the report from the family members. Clearly, unrest has begun. Bai Zi knew in his heart that he had finally fallen into the trap of the god of the Federation. Only a loud bang was heard in the distance, and thick smoke billowed into the air. The few remaining members of Bai Xingguan's family have scarlet eyes and their three-dimensional attributes have been greatly enhanced. Like going crazy, he rushed towards Bai Zi's family members. This huge increase is reflected intuitively. Those creatures that were in charge of the lower level were now like those in charge of the middle level, becoming more and more courageous as they fought. Not to mention the leader's side. They were already exhausted and had not rested for a few minutes. Suddenly, he realized that the sleeping lord, who was dying and seriously injured just now, was healed again. Watching this scene, the leaders couldn't help but want to curse. Grandma, do you want to do this? If you continue to be like this, please hold me tight. How many times have they been healed? Do you really think they are training robots? However, before the leaders could finish complaining, a wave of black energy suddenly struck. Get out of the way. The 6 leaders shouted loudly, set off as quickly as possible, and fled in all directions. However, from a distance, the air waves are small. When you get really close, its area spans across the Tian Shan Mountains, and the residual power it spreads can be seen in all directions. No matter how fast the leaders move, they will still be hit by this blow. Parts of the body are aging rapidly, wrinkles appear, movement speed is greatly reduced, and even the morale of the whole body has become weak. Seeing this, Bai Zi couldn't help but let go of his voice and called. Bai Xingguan, I know you can hear me. Your sister's life is in danger. Please give in now. I can give you the power of the champion's origin. Bai Zi hopes that the scene can end this war. However, the tingling feeling in his heart became stronger and stronger. Opening his hands, he suddenly realized that his entire body was disappearing. Hoo hoo. A gust of wind blew. Bai Xingguan's figure appeared in front of Bai Ziyi's field of vision. Bai seeing Bai Ziyi was about to call out excitedly. Unexpectedly, with just one glance, his words stopped. At this moment, Bai Xingguan was surrounded by waves of divine power, as unstoppable as a rocket taking off into the sky. The white dress she was wearing was also blown backwards by this divine power. The gems on the crown turned blood red, dazzling and yet extremely eye-catching. Her sanity disappeared. Bai Ziyi sweated on his forehead. The other party's eyes were empty, confused, and hesitant, and they were staring at him tightly, as if there was nothing around him except Bai Ziyi. The latter's eyes turned to the shining ruby on the crown above his head. Is this what it is? He could feel that it was this thing that took the opportunity to shake Bai Xingguan's mind. It turns out that from the beginning, even an inconspicuous gadget was an indispensable item in the layout of the Federation God. All your thoughts and guesses are within his budget. Even after his soul was summoned, Bai Ziyi could no longer make any contact with the outside world, and he could not take the initiative to admit defeat. So, Bai Ziyi is really going to die? Not yet. At least in the end, there should be a desperate fight. There will definitely be a chance. Bai Ziyi turned his perspective and found that the reason for Bai Xingguan's rage was Bai Xingran. As long as she can be saved, everything can change. He aimed his sight behind Bai Xingguan and suddenly found that Bai Xingran was wrapped in a ball of divine power. Sure enough, everything was calculated by the god of the Federation, and there was no wrong step. However, the current Bai Xingran was completely dead. Even at such a distance, Bai Ziyi could feel her shadow disappearing quickly. What's going on? Is her soul injured? Ding, the injury to the soul is secondary, and the damage to the godhead is the key. Suddenly, the system gave an answer. Bai Ziyi couldn't help but dilate his pupils when he heard this, and his face was ashes. He heard from the god of the Federation that if the godhead conversion ceremony was interrupted in the middle, the caster would die instantly. I thought it was a serious injury to the soul, but I didn't expect it to be a broken godhead. You know, what does a broken godhead mean? That is difficult for the gods to cure, and even the main god can't save it. In other words, Bai Xingran is doomed to die. Come to think of it, how could the god of the Federation leave loopholes in his actions? He never thought of letting Bai Xingran live from the beginning, otherwise why would he use this trick? Boom! The sound of explosions continued to emerge on the water surface. My lord, his speed has increased again. We have reached our limit. My lord, the opponent's offensive is too fierce. In this situation, we can only abandon the tree people and the sea emperors and move the main battlefield to the sky, only then will there be hope. My lord, the demon star has fallen, the demon star has fallen. Technological civilization is almost completely destroyed. The reports from all parties echoed in Bai Ziyi's ears. But the key is that Bai Xingran's godhood is broken at present. How can it be reversed? Creation of the world, binding God simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 527. Too strong. The goddess exploded instantly. Look, Bai Ziyi was suppressed one-sidedly, even more tragic than before. I can't move at all. I feel that Bai Ziyi is really going to die this time. All those who walked out of that chaos gate are at the initial stage of command. What can Bai Ziyi do to fight? The shouts of the audience also rang out one after another. This scene made the principal Xing's Hui wonder if Bai Xingguan was on drugs. She was motionless just now, but when she moved, her strength increased by more than double. Bai Ziyi, who was sure to win, was defeated. Unfortunately, they were sitting here, and no one felt anything unusual in the game. It can only be said that Bai Xingguan used some secret method, which was within the rules of the game, and the referee had no right to govern. The game lasted for 6 hours. The advantage that had just been established was completely destroyed by the crazy Bai Xingguan. Bai Ziyi's figure became fainter and fainter, proving that more and more creatures were killed and injured. Bai Ziyi knew very well that if he failed, his soul would be destroyed, and he would be completely trapped by the god of the Federation. Bai Xingguan, wake up, your sister should still be saved. Your irrational and random attacks like this will not have any effect and will not end the game quickly. Bai Ziyi started to attack with his mouth, and he attacked Bai Xingguan crazily. For now, he must make her wake up quickly. In this state, even talking becomes difficult, let alone reversing the outcome. Unfortunately, Bai Xingguan was unmoved and continued to order the creatures to attack. Bai Ziyi gritted his teeth and said whatever he thought of. Bai Xingguan, I was pulled into the space by the god of the Federation just now, and I have seen your and Bai Xingran's childhood memories. I know that you have to shoulder the Federation on the one hand, and take care of your sister on the other hand. So calm down, your current state will only make things worse. After Bai Ziyi finished speaking, Bai Xingguan paused obviously. At this time, Bai Ziyi was overjoyed and thought it was effective. Unexpectedly, Bai Xingguan's eyes suddenly turned red, and she seemed to be even more angry. With a wave of her jade hand, her army went into a violent state, leaving no trace of armor wherever they passed. What the hell? Bai Ziyi was shocked. Telling her this, how could she be angry? Damn it! Bai Ziyi frowned, and couldn't help but get a little angry. Bai Xingguan, you deserve to be a waste for life. How can you handle things well if you get crazy and irritated when encountering something? No wonder the ending turned out like this. If you ask me, you might as well die and let your sister live. To be honest, this sentence is somewhat personal. However, Bai Ziyi wanted to change the way he did it, from persuasion to insult, to see if it would have a different effect. I thought she would be furious again. But unexpectedly, this time Bai Xingguan actually spoke back. Humph, what do you know? She said this slowly with a self-deprecating tone. Suddenly, Bai Ziyi was dumbfounded. You haven't lost your mind, why are you pretending to be deep? Can you understand these 18 years just by watching? If possible, don't I want Ran to live and let me die, Bai Xingguan continued. She paused, everything is over. Neither you nor I can change anything. After that, she took a deep breath. The chaotic scarlet pupils looked straight at the sky. The godhead has been broken, and the power of origin can't save Bai Xingran at all. Maybe it's the last bit of luck in her heart. However, Bai Xingguan knows better than anyone. My sister is gone, and the last ray of light has also disappeared. Even if she wins this game and wins the companion god, she can't change anything. How ironic. In this case, let's start from now. Let her go crazy, let her be a demon. Let the filth of this world completely close that heart. Boom. In an instant, Bai Xingguan's aura bloomed, and her power reached a new level. Bai Ziyi's throat rolled when he saw it. It was as if his face was close to the stove, and the strong heat wave made him want to escape. He understood. Bai Xingguan was not forced into rage, but she was willing to fall into rage. Let the power cover the consciousness, and also cover the extreme sadness. Just like the death of a loved one, countless people will choose to numb themselves with alcohol to make themselves feel better. But from now on, there will be no Bai Xingguan, only the Supreme Goddess who is dedicated to the Federation. Is this your decision? Bai Ziyi covered his face with his hands to reduce the erosion of the divine power on him. However, he has not accepted this inevitable end. How can Bai Xingguan be the first to accept it? Grandma, I told you for a long time and you can't hear clearly. That's what I said just now, I will beat you until you hear it clearly. Bai Ziyi clenched his fists tightly and swung them to both sides suddenly. At the bottom, the leaders seemed to feel his call and exerted their strength together. Squeezing out the last bit of energy in their bodies, they rushed towards the sleeping master behind them with all their strength. Knowing that the audience outside the venue couldn't hear anything, Bai Zi didn't care. Your sister is gone, can't you live for yourself? Think about yourself. Bai Xingran did that. Is it because he hopes you will become like this? You have to do this, and I will be finished with you. The voice was like a sharp thorn, piercing Bai Xingguan's ears. But she only trembled for a moment, then suddenly calmed down, and then her scarlet pupils became deeper. This also means that she has fallen deeper. The addition of its power is also increasing. Bai Zi really can't hold it anymore. Okay, you don't believe it, right? Then I'll prove it to you. With a loud shout, Bai Zi opened the system backpack. In it, Bai Zi took out a long treasured trump card. System. Monster Cemetery is activated, locking the ocean block. Ding, received the host's order. Monster Cemetery successfully locked the block and started to deploy. In an instant, the Monster Cemetery in Bai Zi's system backpack disappeared. The next second, it was near the last high ground of the battle planet. Pieces of towering tombstones appeared out of thin air. From the phantom state, the collision transformed into entities, and wrapped around. What happened? Tombstone. Where did so many tombstones come from? What a huge stone tablet, it was summoned out of thin air. Is it a prop card? Seeing the appearance of the tombstone, the audience was talking. All these tombstones have names engraved on them. They are located in different parts of the ocean, but they are square in shape as a whole. Being surrounded on the top of the mountain, Bai Xingguan's family members couldn't help but feel puzzled when they saw the huge tombstones in the distance. Ding, the monster cemetery has been landed. Currently in a damaged state, the vitality of the creatures is incomplete, and it can be repaired. Repair requires Genesis points, right? Ding, it can be repaired with vitality, and the creation points can be used to buy vitality. Life force. Humph. Bai Zi suddenly smiled. It's almost the same as he guessed. If that's the case. Holy Spirit King Dragon. Creation of the world, binding God simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 528. It's time for you to show off. Bai Zi's oracle fell into the ears of Holy Spirit King Long. In an instant, it roared loudly, and the dragon roared thousands of miles away. Aurora, who was behind, quickly jumped down and landed on Kunpeng's upper body. The Holy Spirit King Dragon left the battlefield where the leaders were fighting and reached the sky above the monster graveyard at supersonic speed. The force of life. Doesn't the Holy Spirit King Dragon, who represents life and nature, just possess this power? So, it should be able to revive the monster graveyard, right? Wait for Bai Zi to drop the oracle. Holy Spirit King Long understood. I saw its huge body leaping high and its wings flapping rapidly. A sheet of holy light hovered over the entire monster graveyard. The proud head was raised, and the blue and green crystal body was glowing with glazed luster, sparkling and moving. Although the Holy Spirit King Dragon is exhausted, it still has this ability. The moment it spreads its wings, it seems that nature is echoing it. The breath of life is majestic and continuous, rolling in from all directions. Then, transparent emerald green particle-like beams of light poured into the tombstones. The audience watched in silence, and the sudden appearance of the tombstone surprised all the principals. No one knew what Bai Zi was going to do. No one knows what is hidden among the hundreds of tombstones. However, just after the last particle entered the tombstone, a series of voices sounded in Bai Zi's ears. Bite. The monster graveyard has been repaired and all creatures have been resurrected. The host can use the effect of the divine scepter to control the resurrection of monsters. Hearing this, Bai Zi chuckled softly. Then, he raised his right hand high. Stand up. The loud sound echoed in the sky. "Stand up! Stand up!" The audience was dumbfounded and stared at the tombstones. Just now, they felt like something was coming out of the tombstone. Look at those tombstones. I feel right, something is really going to come out of it. It's a creature, such a strange creature. All of them, there is actually a creature in every tombstone. The next second, the tombstone was broken, and jets of water were lifted up. All kinds of roars, and screams spread throughout the battle world and echoed in the venue. The monster graveyard was resurrected successfully. 100 monsters waved their claws and danced their bodies and tails, eager to try. I was surprised by their size and appearance, but what was even more surprising was the state of these creatures. The peak of the warrior. These 100 creatures are all peak warriors. The principals of several other colleges were dumbfounded. Wang Ho nodded silently, with a smile on his lips. "Good boy, as expected of you." He actually hit such a trump card. The peak level of a warrior is not as good as the initial level of a commander. It is not as good as being in a violent state and already commanding an intermediate level creature. But you must know that Bai Xingguan only has those creatures, and the other family members are basically dead. On the other hand, Bai Zi still had a numerical advantage. Coupled with this wave of creatures, it can play a key comeback role. At this moment, the whole place was boiling. None of the players knew that Bai Zi still had such a skill. A total of 100 warriors are at their peak, which can be said to be infinitely close to the commander level. Xia Yunyu and Tang Qingcheng were naturally happy that Bai Zi had hidden such a powerful trump card. Other players couldn't help but marvel. 100 warriors are at their peak, and their bodies are still so huge. I'm afraid that if they really face each other, they will definitely lose. It seemed that in their battle with Bai Zi, the opponent had no luck at all. If you really have to use all your strength, it will be enough to kill them. The scepter of the gods activates. Stand up and move towards your goal. At this time, Bai Zi immediately activated the divine scepter. The roaring creatures stood up from the sea one by one, roaring and rushing towards high ground. Suddenly, there were people flying in the sky, people walking on land, and people swimming in the sea. The monsters used all their firepower, using flames, lasers, light waves, and all kinds of attacks, to blast in that direction. Explosions continued one after another, and a large number of hostile creatures were blown up. I have to say, these monsters are really powerful. Being an enemy is not enough, but being an ally is really awesome. Unfortunately, Bai Xingguan has fallen deeper and deeper at this time. Without reason, she seems to have become a machine that can only destroy, without caring about anything else. This can't go on like this. Bai Zi knew very well that Bai Xingguan could not become a machine. He must keep the other party rational in order to have a chance of survival. Bai Xingguan, you don't think you will win, do you? You said you should become the belief of the people of the Federation and defend their expectations. Then I will crush all this with my own hands. Let me show you how incompetent you are. You can't do anything. Bai Zi mocked mercilessly. This trick is indeed the most effective. Bai Xingguan's deep pupils couldn't help but become a little clearer and brighter. Bai Zi took this opportunity to issue an oracle, and monsters from the monster graveyard swarmed in. Hundreds of monsters set foot on the high ground and besieged the opponent's family members. The two were inseparable for a while. But after a brief moment of silence, Bai Xingguan became even more excited. She seems to have fallen, but in fact her sanity has always existed. Hearing Bai Zi's words, the overwhelming divine power suddenly rose up, sweeping across the world. Tens of thousands of mucus were summoned above the deep ocean and dark clouds. The powerful offensive caught a group of creatures off guard. But Bai Zi ignored it completely and continued to mock. Do you think anyone will be moved by your doing this? You are just deceiving yourself. The Federation doesn't need you at all, they just want a perfect goddess. And you, because of your persistence, killed Bai Xingran with your own hands. This sentence, like a devil's voice, completely ignited Bai Xingguan. If she hadn't been willful and wanted to put all the responsibility on Bai Xingran. If she hadn't kept it a secret from Bai Xingran and wanted to leave alone. Would the final outcome be different? Bai Xingguan fell into deep self-doubt, and a stream of divine power burst out uncontrollably. Bai Zi shook his head. In Bai Xingguan's eyes, even not wanting to live has become a kind of willfulness. My lord, the power of the sleeping lord has increased again. We have reached our limit, and I am afraid that we will be caught up soon. Bai Xingguan fell into a state of confusion, and almost 10 minutes passed. Bai Zi knew that his commanding creatures could not beat the sleeping lord. So let them fly, the faster the better, and let the sleeping lord run away first, so that he can think of a way. At present, let alone fighting, even running away has reached the limit. However, because of the addition of monsters, the situation on the battlefield of the next family has changed drastically. Bai Zi saw that the time was almost right, and it was time to use that trick. Bai Xingguan, nothing you say can change it. Then open your eyes and watch, this is called change. The God Scepter is activated. Hundreds of monsters, Beludora. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 529. Bai Zi stretched out his hand, and a long stick with golden light seemed to appear in his palm. When Bai Zi's golden stick danced, the mighty divine power was overwhelming. The audience outside the field saw this and screamed. Bai Zi also has divine power. Doesn't he have divine power? Where does the divine power come from? Indeed, people without divine power cannot master divine power, and there is no place to store these divine powers. So when Bai Zi released divine power, it made so many people feel incredible. But even more incredible is yet to come. I saw these divine powers descending, floating in the air in a ball shape, and the monsters in battle also stopped collectively. Then, they disappeared with a roar. Accident. Gradually gathered into balls of light, flying towards the divine power light ball at the center point. With the addition of light balls, the light ball constructed by divine power is expanding at a very fast speed. The power spread out forced countless creatures to retreat. A natural blood suppression spread in the field. This power made Bai Xingguan regain some clarity. She looked up from below, and the light ball twisted and changed, forming a strange creature's outline, rising straight into the sky. The sleeping lord was at its feet, and could only look up. It was too huge. This was the only thought in Bai Xingguan's mind. Jiho Hong. At the same time, the calls of various creatures came from the light ball, chaotic and particularly harsh. Finally, accompanied by a loud boom, the divine shell wrapped around Beludora was broken. The figure was comparable to the sky, so majestic that the head could not be seen, and it was all presented in front of the audience from all provinces. Who? Beludora opened his big mouth full of fangs, and bursts of long roars resounded through the world. 4,000 meters high? Horrible, it was simply too terrifying. And the weird shape, the body was actually made up of the monster just now. For a moment, the audience was almost speechless, and everyone was shocked to the point of being speechless. But looking at the live broadcast room, it was already crazy. In addition to the size, the first thing that caught people's attention was the realm of Beludora. It's a monarch-level creature. It's actually a monarch-level creature. Bai Zi summoned a monarch-level creature. There have been so many monarchs in this competition, but I didn't expect Bai Zi to have one. This monarch-level creature is much stronger than the goddess's sleeping lord. With such a huge body, what can he use to fight? At the same time, a burst of divine power suddenly erupted from the referee's seat. Principal Tianzhou couldn't suppress his excitement. The moment he stood up, he accidentally let out his divine power. However, the other principals had no time to care about him, and their eyes were all on Bai Zi. Monarch. Bai Zi also has a real monarch. It's not a monarch that relies on prop cards or the blessing of the godhead. It's a creature that has a monarch-level realm in itself. No matter how this game ends. In the future, our federation will surely prosper. Two real monarch creatures have completely refreshed the world's perception of newcomers. Perhaps they will create an era. The top leaders were all very excited about the continued deduction of this game. Even the god of the Federation was slightly surprised. The monarch creature was really shocked. It's a pity that even if Belyudora appeared, he would not panic. Because there will never be any accidents in this game, even the monarch can't reverse anything. In the field, Bai Zi waved the baguette and shouted, "Belyudora!" Suddenly, Belyudora trembled all over and opened his arms. From the opening in the middle, thousands of golden beams flew out and spread all over the sky. The frenzied attacks were extremely dense, and the barrage covered the entire range from the sleeping master to the family. No creature could escape, not even his own creatures. The sea level exploded one after another, and flames were everywhere. The light after the beam exploded illuminated the world covered by dark clouds. Seeing the appearance of Belyudora, the leaders can finally rest. The sleeping lord chasing behind was hit accurately and fell straight from the air. The leaders seized the opportunity and hurriedly scattered to escape the pursuit. The sleeping lord was in a violent state and could only feel hostility but not pain. So, he suddenly flew up and locked his target on Belyudora. He waved the old god's sorrow in his hand and stabbed it into the sky. But Belyudora, which was 4,000 meters tall, was too tall. Even if those dark beams hit, they could only age a part of the body. For Belyudora, it was no big deal. On the other hand, the wings on the back of the opponent spread out, and with a sudden wave, the strong storm blew the sleeping lord away. Then, the two sharp horns condensed golden arcs. With a loud bang, the arc penetrated the body of the sleeping master, locking it tightly like a tentacle. No matter how much the sleeping master struggled, it was useless. A moment later, the sleeping master was thrown down and fell straight into the deep sea. Like a bomb, it exploded in the ocean, splashing water. The scene of complete abuse made everyone stunned. In the same realm, the sleeping master actually had no power to resist. You rely on the monarch, right? Just right, I have such a monarch too, Bai Zi said proudly. At this moment, he was not afraid of Bai Zingguan at all. Belyudora was a super monster that all the leaders had failed to take down. It was incomparable to ordinary monarchs. Even the sleeping lord in a frenzy state could not be its opponent. Some things should be put down. If you lose one thing, protect another thing. You have already lost. If you insist on being stubborn, you will only lose everything. Give up. Bai Zi's loud voice rang out, lingering in Bai Zingguan's ears. He couldn't give up, so the best way for now was to let Bai Zingguan give up. Then, find a way to solve Bai Zingran's problem. Unexpectedly, Bai Zingguan just lowered her head and said nothing at this time. The sleeping lord had no one to order him. Just after being knocked down, he flashed and appeared in front of Belyudora again. It was teleportation. The speed was too fast, and even Bai Zi couldn't see it clearly this time. Bang! A sound of breaking through the air was heard, and a dark wave of air rushed towards Belyudora's face. Bai Zi was frightened. But Belyudora was not panicked at all. He stretched out his giant hand to block his face. Seeing the attack penetrate his hand, the whole hand began to age and decay. A new round of light beams had gathered on Belidora's chest. Belidora hell. Full force bombing. The light beams were like raindrops, and they were released collectively in an instant. The sleeping lord was hit, and his body turned into a phantom, dodging back and forth in the sky. Unfortunately, he could not withstand such a dense attack. In just a short moment, the sleeping lord was hit immediately because of a mistake. Below, the light beams streaked along the sea level, and waves rose near the cut. Light explosions also sounded everywhere, continuously. Creation of the World, Binding God Simulator at the beginning. Author, Yefeng Feng. Chapter 530. Seeing this, Bai Zi breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he had worried for nothing. Belidora's strength was not inferior to the Lord of Sleeping. Or, the two were not on the same level in terms of size. Bai Zi was relieved, and saw that the Lord of Sleeping was still attacking fiercely, but he ignored it this time. No matter how hard he tried, he could not break Belidora's defense. If it continued, as long as nothing went wrong, the winner would definitely be Bai Zi. However, he still hoped that Bai Xingguan would take the initiative to admit defeat. In this way, Bai Xingran could get faster treatment, and maybe a theological miracle would happen. Bai Xingguan, look at your sister. Even if you put a divine power barrier on her, the godhood has been broken after all. Even if you continuously supply divine power, she will eventually disappear completely. If you admit defeat now and take her out, maybe you can ask for help from the god of the Federation, and there may be a glimmer of hope. Bai Zi naturally knew that the god of the Federation would probably not help with this. But at this time, you have to coax and deceive. As long as Bai Xingguan can give up, everything will be easy. Seeing that Bai Xingguan didn't reply, Bai Zi knew that she should have been shaken. The previous harsh words made her feel a little confused and hesitant. Now, he can comfort her appropriately. Play a neutralizing role, maybe it can reverse her thoughts. Give up. The things you insist on will not have results in the end. Sometimes, people have to live for themselves, don't they? Now, you are just trying to save your sister, which is reasonable, and no one will blame you. Bai Zi spread his hands, and there seemed to be a holy light bursting from his body. The temptation has been stacked, and now it's just waiting for Bai Xingguan to compromise. The real reason why she is unwilling to admit defeat is because of those federal people. As a goddess, she stands too high. They hope Bai Xingguan wins, so Bai Xingguan must not lose. But Bai Xingran's divinity is broken and is about to disappear. It can be said that it is a dilemma between loyalty and righteousness. Trapped in such a vortex, Bai Xingguan had to let herself be confused and intoxicated in order to feel a little better. Because no matter which side she chose, she would be extremely painful. Bai Zi was just fanning the flames at this time and giving her a reasonable step down. To Bai Zi, he was not without the idea of giving up. Unfortunately, now, there is no way to give up. The soul was locked, and Bai Zi could not contact the outside world in any way. The only thing he could do was to let Bai Xingguan give up. In addition, there was one thing he didn't know. Is Bai Xingguan in a soul state now? If all her creatures are destroyed, will the other party disappear on the spot? Humph, Bai Zi. After waiting for a long time, a crisp voice finally sounded. Bai Zi pricked up his ears, wanting to know what the other party's answer was. You said, you have seen our previous memories. Then you should know why I should stick to this field. Also, I want to ask you, why do you give up? Bai Zi frowned. Bai Xingguan continued, is it because you have a reason not to give up and admit defeat? You think it's not easy for you to step onto the stage, so you can't give up easily. Then, I feel the same way. I have more reasons than you, and I can't give up. Bai Xingguan's tone gradually calmed down. Bai Zi couldn't help but complain in his heart, She didn't understand the situation at all. So far, this game is no longer a question of who wins and who loses. It's about who lives and who dies. If Bai could give up, maybe he would have a chance to choose this. Bai, in my memory, there have always been two topics that cannot be avoided. That's what I decided to protect in this life. It's the same as always for so many years, and it has never changed. You said to live for yourself. I have considered it and practiced it. It's a pity that I can't do it. It was like this before, it's like this now, and it should be like this in the future. From now on, there will be no change. Because I was born for this. Boom boom boom. As soon as she finished speaking, Bai Xingguan gently closed her eyes. The next second, divine power surged like a tide and exploded in all directions. That power destroyed the world and penetrated the clouds. When Bai Xingguan opened her eyes again, she was already covered by a layer of grey fog, and could not see any light. Bai Zi saw this scene, and his heart was beating wildly. She had fallen. She had let go of the last bit of her mind and fell into the endless reincarnation with her whole body and soul. In other words, Bai Xingguan had made a choice just now. Since ancient times, loyalty and righteousness have been difficult to achieve. She chose the Federation and every audience. Maybe she was forced. Maybe she had no choice. But the price would not change. She gave up Bai Xingran, making everything illusory. That last bit of fantasy was also shattered at this moment. The real goddess. Born. It's shaking, it's shaking. The screen seems to be shaking. Look near the goddess. At this time, an audience member suddenly stood up and pointed to the direction of the battle platform. Bai Xingguan's body was calm. There was a surge of divine power all over his body that couldn't be stopped from gushing out. Its range was so wide that it covered the entire stadium, suffocating many creators. Seeing this, a group of senior officials in the referee seat immediately took action and quickly suppressed the divine power frenzy. The god of the Federation stood up, his eyes full of excitement. But under the control of several principals and Xin Shui, the divine power not only did not stop, but became more and more intense. They dispersed, one became two, two became four, and finally exploded one by one, spreading in the air. Oh my god! Why is the stadium shaking too? Earthquake, is it an earthquake? No, it's divine power. These divine powers exploded out of thin air. This caused the stadium to become turbulent. Several senior officials turned pale and looked at each other. The god of the Federation had no intention of taking action at all, and his eyes were fixed on the big screen. Bai Xingguan slowly raised her hand. Behind her, the monstrous divine power swept through, condensing into a ring like a vortex. On her divine clothing, there were faintly lines of flowing clouds, gorgeous and mysterious. Bai Zi looked at a glance and saw a figure of a god with his hands clasped together. Half of his face was crying and the other half was angry, appearing behind Bai Xingguan. He had never come into contact with this power before. It was as majestic as a tsunami in the abyss, capable of destroying the world, breaking the mountains and rivers, and was unstoppable. Everything seemed to be eclipsed in front of it. However, before Bai Zi could observe for long, a strange change occurred. Bai Xingguan opened her lips and teeth slightly, muttering something. The next second, the entire battle planet was shaking wildly, and a large number of creatures fell directly. Then, Bai Zi heard a hissing sound, like the sound of glass being squeezed and about to break. Hey! What did you do? When Bai Zi was shocked, a sudden shattering sound was heard. He suddenly raised his head, and above the rolling dark clouds, there were thousands of fragments falling down with flames. It's the world wall. The world wall is broken. Biliudola raised his head, his scarlet eyes staring at a certain direction. At this moment, a hole was torn in the dark clouds. The long-lost light pierced into the sky and earth, and all the mucus around it fell apart. A snake head, larger than Beliudola's entire body. It spit out its tongue and probed into the world.